Well, hello and welcome back to my workshop. It's not been a great deal happening, but I have finished cleaning up the boiler for the Jinty. I will say at the moment I've only quickly cleaned up the outside. I haven't done much more on the internal, but my intention is to pump it up with water, do the hydraulic on it, see where it's leaking. If I don't need to clean up the inside, I won't. Let's just see where I need to focus on cleaning. But in the meantime, I thought I would just give you a little look at the new engine, just because a couple of people had asked for a bit more of a look at it. So here goes. So here she is, alongside the one I built and the one I'm working on. So 3 Jintys. Does that mean I've got a 9F? I don't know. So let's take a little look around this. So when I picked it up, one of the guys there suspected it might have been built to the Molly drawings doubled up. That would be the 3.5 inch gauge designed by LBSC, I believe. However, I suspect it's more like the 5 inch Jinty designed by Martin Evans, scaled up to 7.25. So one of the reasons for this is the Molly. I've seen pictures online. I'll see if I can find some and put them in this area here. If I haven't found them, I'm just waving my arm around. There's a rocker that drops the valve gear motion underneath the front axle. And let's take a look under this to see if it's there. So I can't see any signs of it there. There's the expansion link. Pushes the valve up there. If we look in between the frames, we can see the valve drive is taken sideways by that little piece there. And if we spin around and look at the 5 inch, it looks pretty much the same. You've got the same link here. What I also notice is a couple of grooves in the front axle that have been machined out. They are because the clearance to the valve rod is pretty fine. And if I look at my Jinty, which I've made, I scalloped out in the area around the valve. So in actual fact, I just thought I can show you better on this one. That's the block that transmits the valve sideways, the valve movement sideways, and you can see where the axle's been rubbing on the valve spindle. So I'm fairly certain that we're looking at a Martin Evans Jinty scaled up. So what's she got? We've got a vacuum ejector on the engine. The engine has the vacuum, but no vacuum brakes. The driving trolley I've got doesn't have vacuum brakes, but it will be through piped to feed a vacuum to a train. Yeah. So, vacuum. At the moment, I've already taken the safety valves off because I wasn't too happy with how they evacuated. I'm taking a look at them, or my dad's taking a look at them because he's very good with safety valves. We're going to make them pop a little bit better and try and make them evacuate a bit more. What's next? So, it's a nice window detail that Steve put on it before I got it from him. The engine. See the cutout around the cab? We do have a full splitter cab for it to go on the back. However, if you try and put that in, the spectacle plate hits the back of the bunker. So it's obviously never been in. But what I'm planning to do is cut back this. Doesn't need to go far, probably from there forward, just file it off or cut it off both sides. Then it can drop in front of that rail and just slide home. So that will be quite an easy early job. If I move that out of the way, moving inside, that's the shroud that goes over the safety valves. Under the floor, that's where the lubricator is. So what I'm planning to do is put a hole in here and a hole in the top of that, make a little spout that comes up from the pot, comes up through the foot plate, and then I can put a cap on top, which may even have a dipstick in it. That will make topping that up a lot easier without having to take the foot plate up. And I also noticed when I was running it that the whistle didn't sound quite as good as I'd like, so I'll be making a new whistle. So, what else am I going to be doing to it? Well, when Steve was rebuilding this, before I got it from him, he made a drain cock arrangement, because as you can see, the steam chest sits below the cylinders. So you can't just put drain cocks out the cylinders. But he did make a little arrangement with a disc for the drain cocks underneath the bottom. This little plug in the front here, that plugs up a hole which on the Martin Evans drawings is a drain cock in the valve chest. So I may well replace that with a drain cock once more. However, it will only be used on the steaming bays. There's something I learned running my engine, the 5-inch Jinty, down there somewhere, down there, is when I start off, when I'm raising steam, I'll open that drain cock on the steam chest and I'll just crack the regulator and it will gently warm the block up, blow all the water out of the valve chest, and just generally get a bit of heat into the cylinder block. Plus it uses some steam so that I can test my injectors and keep topping the boiler up, help build a better fire, just generally test everything and keep everything going nicely. That's why I want to put a drain cock back on there. It won't have a control back to the cab as my one doesn't, but it will allow for just warming the block up while you're on the steaming bays and getting going. So after that, they're the main mechanical jobs. See, it's got a nice vacuum valve in here. You've got the vacuum gauge, pressure gauge. I will also make a wooden floor for this. You can see that step here all around. I may well make some extra weight packing to go around there to sit the floor on. It all adds to the weight. These side tanks do not get used on this engine. The water's in there, water comes out the driving truck to feed the injectors, which leads to the pipes are a bit floaty, so I'm going to make brackets to support these better. And I'm not overly keen on this bracket, which is for the vacuum pipe, so I'll be having a look at that at some point. As far as the side tanks are concerned, as I said, they don't take water, and at the moment there is a big hole somewhere in the bottom. Oh, there you go. You can see it better in the hole in the bottom, which is threaded. Now, since it's threaded, I'm going to try putting a plug into it. That will be my first step. I'll just put a plug in each side. I assume there's one both sides. And then I'll try topping up water. If they seal, then I may well drill out the plug to put another thread of a sort of a banjo bolt inside the plug so that I can just crack that and empty the tanks. The main reason for this being I can fill them with water to add extra weight to the engine when I'm running. So I think that's about all the changes I want to make to the engine to begin with. Although I may add extra capacity to the lubricator, make a bigger lubricator tank, or just add to the size of the lubricator tank. And there's plenty of space between the frames there that I could add some extra weight if I feel it needs it. As for the driving trolley, I need to add vacuum pipe just running through. So the vacuum pipe just needs to be a little bracket off of each buffer beam with a pipe sticking out so that I can run that through. You can see there's a decent size water tank, although if I can I may try and make that bigger. We'll see. But there's no coal storage at the moment, it's just drop a pot in there. So I may well make a bigger pot, nicer pot to go in there. And I do need to make a shovel as well. I haven't got a shovel at the moment that will fit or be suitable for this engine. And one final thing, as far as the driving trolley is concerned, you may have heard a bit of a squeaking in the background on the other video of when I bought the engine, but as you can see, the springs are really quite soft. I'm going to try and strengthen them up a bit and see if we can make them a bit stronger. So there we have it. That's as far as I want to go for the time being on this. However, in the future, as and when I've got the boiler off at some stage, if it ever needs a repair to the boiler, or I'm just doing a bit of an overhaul, I may well adjust some bits on the boiler. Now, let me show you what I've got in mind. I thought it might be easier to compare the two because I'd like to make this, a few bits on this, a bit more like mine, the one I made. So, my cab is a bit closer to the full-size cab than this is. I like the twin water gauges, but the full-size did not have a manifold like this. They were combined clacks and steam valves. So if and when I'm doing work to the boiler, a couple of bushes either side, another couple of bushes, so that I can mount steam valves and clacks on the back head, so which would do away with those steam valves. I need to think about the whistle, because on mine, that is the whistle, to hide that. But the blower should be here, and that's the blower. That on the full size would be the brake valve, which is that. So yeah, there's just a few bits of pipe work to try and tidy that up and make it look more Jinty-ish. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. And that would mean that the clacks would disappear from the side of the boiler. Now, the early ones, the very early ones did have the clack on the side, so I don't know what was going on at the back. The steam valve was probably in the same place on the back head, just didn't have the clack. But with the clack here removed, I can make a plate which covers that up, which is fairly prototypical. They had I've seen one, the one at the Keithley has got a blanking plate over where the clack would bolt on. So I can do that, and then this pipe can be straightened out rather than having that annoying bend in it. So there we go, little and large, which does help point out some more of the detail issues. On the tank top, I've got all the extra bits on the tank top, whereas the 7 1/4's got none of it. A lot of people know the Jinties for having the keyhole in the side of the tank. The early ones didn't have that. That was access to the sandbox, where the early ones had the lid on the top with a pipe going through the tank to get to the sandbox. So that can be added to this one. These straps and the lifting hooks can all be added to this. So there we go. It might sound like a lot of jobs, but to be honest, they're all very minor. Other than the safety valves, which I need to do to pass a boiler test for my own satisfaction, that is as much as I can say. It's a cracking little loco. I can't wait to start taking it out and about every now and again, and gradually add a few bits of my own that, for my personal preference, make it a bit nicer to show. So yeah, that's where we are. Hopefully this Sunday I'll take it to the club for a boiler test. I just need to figure out putting it in the car. But yes, that's where we're at, and I can't wait to show it to you out and about running. So thanks for watching. I hope I haven't bored you with this one. I'm really pleased with the engine. It is going to look great going around the track, and I can't wait, to be honest. So thanks for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to bringing you more news from the workshop in the coming days, weeks, whenever. Hopefully it won't be too long. Thanks very much. Take care.